It was the result they fought for but barely believed they'd get. The conclusion of unlawful killing on the 96 people who died at Hillsborough exploded the myth that Liverpool fans had caused the greatest peacetime disaster of our generation and laid the blame squarely at the feet of the authorities.
The Hillsborough disaster was entirely avoidable, as the jury has found. It was no accident. It was no natural phenomenon. It was caused by catastrophic human failure, but above all, it was a catastrophic policing failure.
It's unlikely this would have been possible without the tenacity of one woman, driven by a mother's love for her child, a woman who refused to give in.
Until it's heard openly in an open courtroom and I get a new inquest on him and I can get the death certificate changed, I can't put Kevin to rest.
Tonight we bring you the story of Anne Williams, an ordinary mum who went on an extraordinary search for truth. Her legacy is continued by her family, and we were given exclusive access to them throughout the new inquest process.
This is the day of reckoning, and if we don't get them now, we'll never get them.
This is the story of their quest for justice.
He's a good brother. He babysat me a lot when my mum went to work and went out. I just remember being happy and go-lucky and always kicking a football. And even doing his own work for school, he was like, he loved school.
A nice lad, a good-looking lad and a good sportsman. He was good at everything. He put his heart and soul into everything he did.
The semi-final in Sheffield on the 15th of April 1989 between Liverpool and Nottingham Forest was 15-year-old Kevin Williams' first away match without an adult, a reward for working hard at school.
He did his packed lunch and everything, the night before. And as he was walking out the door, we saw him that morning, because I got him up. And as he walked out the door, he says, "No, I hope they win, Kev. No, he's 1-3 now." And off he went. That was the last time I saw him.
Kevin and his friends arrived for the match in plenty of time and found themselves a place in pen 3 of the Leppings Lane Terrace, a pen which became fatally overcrowded when police ordered an exit gate to be opened to ease congestion outside.
We just thought it was pitch invasion. I remember saying to him, it said on the telly that 7 with Dad, and I'm at 21 with Dad. And I remember her shouting at me and saying, "Kevin's there." But you don't really understand as a kid, do you? You just don't think. But I just remember him being up all night then. And my dad phoning the helpline. Then we found out Stuart at the top had died. And I think when we found out Andy was home, the lad he'd gone with, I think we knew that.
Caught in a crush on the Leppings Lane Terrace, Kevin became one of the youngest victims of football's most notorious disaster, which would go on to claim 96 lives.
He'd gone from having Kevin and his friends here to having like no one. I remember feeling really lonely after he died.
The then inquest into how the fans died opened with the coroner ruling that they would all have been dead by 3:15, so he wouldn't be hearing any evidence after that time. But a chance remark to Kevin's mother, Anne, outside court set in motion a search for truth that would consume the rest of her life.
They said they got something to tell me that would upset me. That when he was in the gymnasium at 4 o'clock with Special WPC Martin, he'd opened his eyes and he called for his mum.
I got his head on my shoulder and I knew he was going because he was getting bluer and bluer around the mouth and all his pallor was just going. And it's, as I picked him up, suddenly his eyes just opened and he looked straight through me. And that's when he said, "Mum."
But Deborah Martin wasn't called to give evidence. Believing there had been a whitewash, Anne refused to pick up Kevin's death certificate, which stated the cause of death as accidental.
The worst thing they could have told her at the original inquest that he'd called Mum. It's the worst thing they ever did because it just stemmed from there.
The part-time barmaid and Mum became immersed in legal and medical documents. From being one of the 96, Kevin became the awkward one, the little boy who didn't fit in with the official version of events. Believing Kevin's case could open the door for all 96 of those who died, Anne 3 times took her fight for a new inquest to the Attorney General, and when that failed, went to the European Court, only to be told her application was too late. But with each disappointment, Anne's resolve grew stronger.
It's Kevin that drives me on. If it's the memory of Kevin and the way Kevin was, and I often look at his photograph. There's times when I've wanted to burn the file. There's times when I can't go on, and I'll look at it, and I can look at him looking at me, and I can hear him saying to me, "Get them, Mum. Get them for what they've done."
I mean, people have said to me, you know, how's your Anne? Is she still going on about Hillsborough? And I used to say, well, you don't know how you'd react if it happened to one of yours.
It took until 2009 for the establishment to listen, when another lone voice changed everything. In the middle of a service to mark the disaster's 20th anniversary came the cry, "Justice!" The shouts became louder.
And he asked us to think at this time.
The then Minister for Sport and Culture, Andy Burnham, was stopped in his tracks. At a meeting at Liverpool Town Hall after the service, he met Anne Williams.
And all of Andy Burnham and wiped the floor with him and really told him what was what. And after that, Anne presented him with all their evidence, and Andy took it. And again, this is why the panel was. I do thank Andy for that, because he's done a great job.
Parliament has never recorded their names in Hansard for posterity. Well, tonight I can at least put one wrong right. John Alfred Anderson, 62. Colin Mark Ashcroft, 19.
The tide had turned. The names of all 96 who died at Hillsborough were read out for the first time in the House of Commons.
Martin Kenneth Wilde, 29. Kevin Daniel Williams, 15. Graham John Wright, 17. Rest in peace, justice for the 96.
The government agreed to release all the documents relating to the disaster so they could be scrutinised by an independent panel. The publication of that panel's report on what became known as Truth Day in September 2012 lent support to some families' claims of a cover-up, detailed the failure of the emergency services, and contained the harrowing news that Kevin, along with 40 others, could have been saved.
Mr. Speaker, with the weight of the new evidence in this report, it is right for me today, as Prime Minister, to make a proper apology to the families of the 96 for all they have suffered over the past 23 years.
My son and 95 innocent Liverpool fans did not die in an accident. They were unlawfully killed at the least.
What shocked me was 41 could have been saved. We knew there'd be more, but I thought perhaps a couple of dozen, but I thought 41. God forbid, that, all them could have been saved.
She said it was like a big weight had been lifted. And she said she wasn't that mad woman that went on about Hillsborough anymore, because people did think she was a bit of a lunatic.
Anne pressed on, organising a petition to get Kevin's inquest verdict quashed and new ones opened into all those who died. This was finally granted at the High Court in London, where Danny accompanied his sister, who had by now been diagnosed with cancer.
He bounced me from one ward to the other, and I knew what they were doing. I thought they were wearing me down, but I'll wear them down before they wear me down. And I've actually done it.
What do you think Kevin would make of his mum now?
I think he'd be dead proud.
Time ran out for Anne. She died in April 2013, just days after she'd attended her final Hillsborough memorial service. Across Liverpool, flags flew at half-mast. And later that year, her tenacity was honoured by a special Sports Personality of the Year award.
My mum was a good mum. She was a Hillsborough mum, but she was still our mum. She learned to deal with it differently. And even the grieving side of it, she grieved for Kevin in a different way. It's like Kevin and Hillsborough was two separate things.
We were very close because we were close together in age. We're only 18 months and it's nothing when you're children. So all my friends were Anne's friends, and certainly when we were smaller. And Anne was always just behind me, always just behind me. And to me, I've said it before, like she always said she looked up to me, but for many years I looked up to her.
The new inquest began in spring 2014 in a specially built courtroom on a business park in Warrington. Expected to last for 6 months, they open with each family delivering a pen portrait of their loved one, an emotional moment for Sarah, whose mother fought so hard for Kevin's case to be reopened.
She would have loved a moment in court to be able to stand up and talk about him. So I said I'd do it. I really looked up to our Kev, and I wanted to go wherever he went and hang around with him. Most older brothers would get fed up with a little sister following him everywhere, but Kev didn't mind me tagging along. My mum fought hard over the years to get the truth uncovered about what happened at Hillsborough, and it's only now that I have children of my own that I understand the relentless determination that came so naturally to her because of the love that she had for Kevin.
The inquest halted for the 25th anniversary, the first service since Anne's death.
There's going to be a big crowd here today. I think a lot of people have, because it's 25 years and the publicity that Hillsborough's getting, I think we're going to have a full house today. And people are realising now how important Hillsborough is. I mean, this is going to be one of the biggest cases ever, and it's massive.
There's a much warmer reception for Andy Burnham this time, and a special mention for Anne.
I want to end by saying something directly to Margaret, to Sue, Trevor, Jenny, and all the families. And I only wish I could say it to Anne Williams, whose memory we also honour today.
I must admit, I did break down. I couldn't control myself. I couldn't hold back the tears. It did get to me, but for it to happen today, I just wish Anne could have been there to see that.
A former senior police officer has admitted that he should have realised a major incident was unfolding at Hillsborough on the day of the tragedy in 1989.
This is what's coming out all the time. There was a lack of leadership. Officers were waiting for the match commander to react, and it didn't happen. This is where we are today.
The inquest should have finished by now, but it's Christmas 2014 and they're still only partway through the proceedings.
I found the survivors' accounts really upsetting when we were describing what it was like inside the pens and stuff, because it sort of makes it more real, but not so much more real. But you know what happened, you know what it must have been like for Kevin to a certain extent, well, and the survivors. But it's just the police evidence that infuriates me.
What about it?
Just where you keep saying we were drunk and the behaviour was neurotic and one said we behaved like lemons. And when asked to describe what a lemon was, he said it was an animal that self-destructed. In other words, some of them are just basically saying we brought it on themselves, aren't they? We all seem to be pointing back to that police control box as well, don't we? So we're sort of blaming the fans, putting back up, placing it back to that police control box. In other words, we're just turning on Duckenfield, aren't we?
David Duckenfield was the match commander at Hillsborough. It was his first time in charge of a capacity football match, and he's the person the families most want to hear from since their failed private prosecution against him in 2000. On the day of the disaster, he wrongfully blamed fans for forcing open an exit gate to gain access to the ground.
How are you feeling, Sarah? Nervous. Got a bad stomach.
In March 2015, the former superintendent is called to the inquest to be cross-examined as a witness. Sarah and Danny feel tense as they drive to the court.
It's a bit surreal, isn't it? Coming face to face with him. After all these years.
It's just sad that Anne couldn't see it this far.
I think she'd be glad to see him in the court. She always knew, unless she got another inquest, she'd never probably ever see him in court. So the other avenue she's been down, she never thought she'd ever get Duckenfield.
But nothing had prepared them for what happened that day.
Our top story. Gasps in court as the top policeman at Hillsborough admits lying about the disaster and
the police commander at the Hillsborough disaster tells an inquest he will regret lying about the tragedy to his dying day. Former Chief Superintendent David Duckenfield.
The double apology in court today from David Duckenfield. One directed at the families who lost loved ones for the distress and upset that he caused by that lie, and a second apology also for not thinking about the consequences of some of the decision making that he did that day.
Back in the car, Danny and Sarah are stunned by his admission.
Just wasn't expecting it. It's a bit of a shock, really. But he should have said it years ago, shouldn't he?
It is quite a serious thing. I've seen the officer now has admitted he told a lie. It was a shocking court. Certainly from where we were sat, it's quite a lot of tears. I think it was just relief that actually he's admitted something, which in the past he wouldn't go to admit anything. He was so arrogant. It still is.
Sarah, what was it like seeing him face to face? Because you were quite apprehensive this morning.
Oh, it was horrible. As soon as he walked in, I started crying. It was like it's like an anxiety thing, actually coming face to face with him. But I feel better now I have.
And in the days to come, there are more revelations from the former chief superintendent.
Today, another admission, when the man who was in charge of policing at Hillsborough said his failures had caused the deaths of 96 Liverpool fans.
We expected a bigger fight from him, to be quite honest with you, but he sort of must have come to terms with it himself and got it off his chest after 26 years.
The 26th anniversary of the disaster is a subdued affair as the long drawn-out process takes its toll on the families. Danny joins members of the Hillsborough Justice Campaign at the memorial in Liverpool city centre.
The families are very, very, very dignified. And to me, I mean, there's sometimes in court when you feel like really standing up and saying something, but you can't. You can't. And nobody's ever done that yet, and I don't think they ever will. All we want is justice, and hopefully we'll get it.
Finally, it's the day of Kevin's inquest, a day for which his mother Anne fought so hard, a day his family barely believed would come. Kevin's case will take longer than any of the other victims, such is the volume of evidence painstakingly uncovered by his mom.
Just bring you in here just for a minute. We'll set up for you.
I just want to get on with it and get it over. So, and I do realise there'll be a lot of interest in it and all that, but I can't handle the press like Anne could. She was very good at it.
I know this is a very difficult day for you, but so important to have got to this point now.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, it took Anne's life to get here.
And for Kevin as well, very much in your thoughts today.
Oh yeah, very much so. Yeah, very much so. Okay.
It's the first opportunity that many witnesses found by Anne have had to give their version of events. Derek Bruder, an off-duty policeman, said he found a pulse on Kevin at 3:30, 15 minutes after the original inquest said he had died. He also claimed in court he was persuaded to change his statement. Crucially, Deborah Martin is also allowed to speak at this inquest. She repeats her claim to the jury that Kevin died in her arms at 4 p.m, his last words being "Mum." She also claims Julie Appleton, a West Midlands police officer, convinced her to change her statement.
Miss Martin said she was put under extreme pressure. Now, a barrister for Miss Appleton said that she rejects Miss Martin's version of events.
In court, Julie Appleton said she only visited Deborah once and she didn't put pressure on her, didn't try to get her to alter the statement, and was only searching for the truth. She said it was Deborah's statement and it was up to her what she included in that. Back home, Kevin's uncle Danny reflects on the day.
I thank them both on behalf of the family and all the other families for what they did, because I feel very strongly that they did it for us.
Does it matter what time Kevin died?
No, not really. It's just the fact that they felt it was important, not more so than us. It was them that wanted to change the times, not us. They wanted it to fit in with the 3:15 cut-off time, and they did their utmost to do that.
We know that Kevin was transported the length of the pitch. And
some months later, it's time for the jury to hear the evidence of pathologists who have pored over the details of Kevin's last moments and concluded that Kevin probably died around 3:45, so it's not medically plausible he could have regained consciousness and uttered the word "Mum" to Deborah Martin.
We've established he's gone past the 3:15 cut-off time, and with Kerr, with another half an hour, he could have, with Kerr, if they've initiated the major incident and got ambulances on the pitch, they've also established that with oxygen, Kevin, with a bag and mask, he could have survived.
We had some quite graphic evidence, didn't we?
It's horrific. I don't want to do that again. And I'm glad Sarah stayed away.
The jury in the new Hillsborough inquest has retired to consider its conclusions about how 96 Liverpool fans died at an FA Cup semi-final in 1989.
In what has now become the longest inquest in British legal history, 2 years after they were sworn in, the jurors are at last sent out to consider the evidence.
The coroner reminded the jury today that one of the questions they'll have to answer is whether the 96 were unlawfully killed. To decide that, they must consider whether the match commander, David Duckenfield, breached any duty of care he may have owed to the fans, and whether that breach was grossly negligent.
At last, relieved, yeah. I mean, the families have sat through it's harrowing evidence for 2 years now, and sat there with dignity and patience, waiting for the jury to go out, and now we're waiting for the result, so hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll get the right result.
Just over a week later, and it's the anniversary of the disaster. It's the last memorial service the families will hold at Anfield, and 96 doves are released in memory of those who died.
I was hoping it would have been done with now, before the anniversary. But I am relieved we've gone out. It's just the waiting, isn't it, now? It's just want it over with and just start a new life without it.
Sarah doesn't have long to wait. Less than 3 weeks after being sent out, the jurors say they've reached their conclusions. For their final trip to the inquests, the families travel together on a coach.
I'm very nervous. It's hard to think it could go any other way but the way we want, but there's always that. It's 27 years of mistrust, and you just can't relax. Nobody can relax.
The jurors had 14 questions to consider, and their answers came in rapid succession. The behaviour of fans didn't contribute to the disaster, and all 96 were unlawfully killed.
Fantastic, unbelievable, 14-0 to the families. I just can't believe it. He went through the questions so quickly. It was hard to take in. Unanimous. We couldn't ask for anything better. It's over now. It's over now. And I'm absolutely made up.